When I say Holocaust survivor, you don't really think social media star. The Redhead from Auschwitz or Rosie Halbern is probably the most resilient woman I've ever met in my life. When her granddaughter decided to write a book about the story of her grandmother, she didn't actually think it would blow up the way it did. At the age of 96, Mrs. Halbern garnered over 80,000 Instagram followers and 43,000 TikTok followers with the help of her granddaughter, Nechama Birnbaum. They also went on to sell 20,000 copies of the book. I went to Bobby's apartment in Brooklyn to film her and her granddaughter and get a little more insight into what and who she really is. Unfortunately, between the filming of this episode and the airing of this episode, Bobby passed away after a long life of battling for what she believes in. She was adorable and strong, both in the same sentence, I could actually say. It was a true honor to talk to her. We hope this episode sheds some light into her greatness. This episode is in memory of Shimon David ben Yaakov Shleima, Miriam Sarah bas Yaakov Moshe, and of course, Bobby, Rachel Chana bas Yecheskel Yaakov. May her neshama have an aliyah. We can all use some inspiration to help us overcome the obstacles we encounter in our lives. Get ready for thrilling conversations about struggle and triumph with those in pursuit of making a positive impact in this world. I'm Yaakov Langer, and you're listening to Inspiration for the Nation.
Bobby, I'm a little nervous. No? Okay.
Okay, so we'll get to the end of the episode, and we have the star of the show, Bobby, coming on to talk about her experience.
That's who everyone wants to hear. If I sometimes go to events, and it says clearly, like the author of the book, Nechama Birnbaum, is coming, and they come there and they're like, "Where's your grandmother?" Well, we're here for your grandmother. Why is she not here? And
that's amazing.
She can't come to everything.
Right, and
yeah.
And
so stay tuned for the main part.
Yeah, Mir Hashem. And I just found it a little funny right now. You said, I'm a little nervous. I think this is your first podcast you're being on. And your grandmother, who's watching on the sideline, she's like, don't be nervous, which is very her personality.
Yeah.
And is that, I remember, you guys lived near us in Israel, and you're like, oh, I'm writing this book. And to me, I'm like, okay, great. Like, I think there should be a Holocaust book on every survivor. But why did you specifically want to write a book?
So it's very interesting because my grandmother and I, we both had different goals. You'll see at the end of the episode, like she talks about Holocaust education, and she's so passionate about people should know what happened. And when you know what happened, you can make a better future because you learn from the past. And when I wanted to write it, I had and my goals like morphed into hers because I did more research I thought everybody knew what the Holocaust was. I didn't believe that people don't know what the Holocaust is.
I think when you grow up in an Orthodox community, you're saturated with so many survivors.
It's like seeped in our bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially me, a lot of my friends, it's their great-grandparents. Mm-hmm. It's my grandmother, it's my mother's mother, and we're very close. So for me, it was like the most basic fact of life, the Holocaust. But then while I was writing the book, I was doing some research, and they were saying like 60% of millennials don't know that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. And every year they do more studies about this, and like it's more like terrible as the years go on, how many people don't know about the Holocaust. There was just a video going around, I don't know if you saw it, about someone interviewing people on the street.
Yes,
about what the
Holocaust
was.
It was like a TikTok video or something.
Yes, exactly. And so before I started writing, I didn't believe that because I was just like, I couldn't believe that. And then once I did that research, I was like, okay, that became one of my goals for sure. But the reason why I wanted to write it was because I thought she was so amazing that she said she's going to survive. And I feel like a lot of stories about the Holocaust are, of course, they're terribly sad, but also if there's like a hero of the story, it's like Schindler's List, the non-Jew saving the Jew, or most of the time non-Jew saving the Jew, or just like a story that there's no Jewish showing of Jewish resistance and Jewish pride
Right.
and resilience.
Resilience,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
exactly. So my grandmother had a completely opposite experience. She was degraded. She went through the main things like Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, the ghetto. She didn't escape.
How old was she?
She was 18 years old when
Okay.
she was taken. And when she went to the camps, she said, all her friends said, we're going to heaven from here. They knew. They had the smoke of their families burning on top of them, and it smelled horrible. And they said, this is your family's burning. They were coming from weeks and weeks in the ghetto of no food, of hard slave labor. They were very demoralized. And Bobby, how am I doing? Good? Good. Thank you, Bobby.
She winked.
So they were very demoralized. And all of her friends, they were working in Auschwitz, and they said, we're going to heaven from here. And it's okay. They were 18. We lived our lives. We had beautiful childhoods. We're going to heaven. And she said, I am not going to heaven yet. I'm going home. We'll see about heaven later. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not going now. I'm going home. And she fought with all her might to go home. And in the littlest of ways, she resisted, which if you read the book, you'll see it throughout the whole thing. Every little way, like she was cleaning bullets for the Germans, and she dropped them to the bottom of the barrel because she didn't want to clean the bullets for her enemy. And like little ways, she was a hero. She was a resistor. That was one reason why I wanted to do. I thought it was so inspiring, her fight for life and her love of life. And a lot of Holocaust books are very understandably very much about death. And it is a terrible, that's important and that's needed. But I wanted to write a book that was about death, but also hope and life. And that's why in the beginning of the book, I took a quote from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, and it says, I will not die, but I will live, says the Psalm, and continues, and I will declare the works of God. Sometimes the refusal to die, the insistence of the holiness of life is itself the work of God. And I thought that really summed her up, and that's what inspired me to write the book, because she loved life and loves life every day, no matter how painful it was. So it was more of like that celebration of life that I wanted to write about.
That's amazing. So, I remember when you were writing the book, I was like, oh, yeah, great idea. I not because I doubted you, I just didn't anticipate it to blow up and your social media to blow up the way it did.
Yeah.
I mean, as of we're filming this, you're 80,000?
77.3.
Okay, 77.3.
Who's counting?
Almost 80,000 Instagram subscribers. Who knows how many on TikTok? Literally, you have, I don't want to say, you're almost near hundreds of millions of views.
Yeah.
Educating the world together with your grandmother, obviously the both of you, discussing what's happening. Did you kind of see that coming?
So it's funny, I'm going to be very honest, when I first was writing the book, I was like, I want this to be a New York Times bestseller.
Okay.
I want it big. And my husband kept saying, like, it's good if like a few people read it and you get her story out for the family. And I'm like, I'm not just doing this for my family. But then when I tried to get it published, I was like, okay, let's take a step back. It's really, really hard to get a book published. And I sent it to like 100 literary agents. Most of them, I don't even think read it. Like it's something called, like it goes into like a slush pile. Like if you don't have a connection or know someone, it's very hard to get a book published. And on top of that, a lot of them said Holocaust books don't get published anymore. Like they don't do well anymore. I guess people are jaded. So it was very, very hard. And then I was like, okay, I'll be happy if my family reads this. And I was printing out copies and photocopying and giving out to my family. So then I did not think, and then I found, also I was very much wanted to get it out in my grandmother's lifetime because this was her dream and her goal and her passion, and she told her story. And actually my brother-in-law, Daniel Machlis, he did all her videos, taking videos of her, and he kept pushing, like, I know you know, she's very young at heart and everything, but this is not going to be a forever thing. You need to get it out now. You need to get it out now. And he, like, I'm so grateful to him that he did that, because otherwise it could have been in another 10 years or whatever.
Right.
So we did like we found an amazing publisher, Amsterdam Publishers. We did it really, really fast. She sped published it for me because she wanted to see it in my grandmother's hand also, which is amazing. So then we were like, okay, maybe 200 people will read the book if we're lucky. She said the hardcover only family and friends usually buy, like maybe 20 copies of them. mostly like the Kindle people will read it on. But within the first day of it being published, it was 5,000 copies sold. Yeah.
Wow.
Right away of hard copies. So it's just a miracle, honestly.
Wow.
It's not a natural thing for that to happen. It's just her story was meant to be heard. Yeah.
It's incredible. And I definitely read through. I think I would have read it even if it wasn't awesome, but it is really awesome.
Thank you.
But is there, and we're going to talk to your grandmother, but like, is there for you a story that you want to share from the book? And by the way, I just want to tell everyone, go buy the book if you have not.
Yeah, read the
We're gonna
book.
share a link in the comments. But is there a story that you would want to share from the book?
There's so many.
Yeah,
like
it's a
every
lot.
story. That's why I can't even like. I shouldn't be surprised that so many. Now I think we're over 15,000 or something copies sold. It just came out at the end of November. Every story she has is amazing because of her resilience and because of her fight. She has so many amazing stories.
I'm gonna push. Like,
Yeah.
come on. There's got to be one story for you.
Yeah, well, she has so many, and she says so many of them. But I really I mentioned it before, her story where she was working in an ammunition factory, and she was washing the bullets, and she knew the Allies were coming, the Americans were coming, the Russians were coming to try to save them, and she was helping the German war effort ward them off. So she said, I don't want to do this. And she would just stand in front of a huge barrel, wash the bullets, and drop them to the bottom of the barrel. It was like a very cloudy water barrel where nobody could see them. Like, she's not contributing to the war effort. She's not giving it. So I thought that was just amazing because, a lot of times, and this is also something I thought was different about her story, is about she was in the thick of it. Like, she was in Auschwitz, in the ammunition factory, working. She wasn't like a partisan or Warsaw ghetto uprising fighter. She was in the thick of it, but in her own little way, she managed to be a resistor, and she managed to be a hero. And I think it doesn't have to be the big, huge things sometimes. Sometimes it's the little things that you never know. She might have saved a life that they didn't have enough bullets.
Right. No, I love that lesson because in Hollywood or just the world, it is dramatized. Or
So
the good
dramatized,
stories are the
right.
ones and they saved 1 billion people.
Right, exactly.
But it's so true. Our life is made up of all of those little moments that you don't really know what it's actually doing and the massive impact it truly is having.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Another story I really thought was amazing, how she was always looking out for someone else. And she was with her sister the whole time. And a lot of people ask, what kept you going? What kept you going? And there was a lot of things that kept her going. She loved life, and she wanted her future. But another thing was that she was taking care of a lot of people. And you find, when people are giving and people are doing, Man's Search for Meaning, if they have a meaning of really contributing, then they have more of a will to live. So she was taking care of her little sister. Her sister was 17 months younger than her, and she was fighting for her the whole way. And her sister kept saying, let's just give up. Why are we working so hard? We're not going to make it anyways. Let's give it up now. And she kept, don't you dare. She said, you're fighting. You're going to live. We're going home from here. We're going to go home from here. And she did everything. She pretended there were once, she was excused from work once because she had a sickness, and she wrapped her sister up in bed. If she wasn't going to work, her sister wasn't going to work. She wrapped her up, and the SS woman came in, and she said, you're excused, but why isn't she going to work? And she said, don't go near her. She's contagious. You want to get, what's it called? And the SS woman just left it and let her go. And her sister really needed that rest. And then at the end of the war, she was in a death march where they're walking for 3 weeks without food, nothing. And at that point, it was the end of the war. She was ready to give up. And she was just so tired. She felt like she couldn't take another step. And she was walking, starving. And her sister felt her faltering. Her sister said, you have to keep going. And she said, it's okay. I'm not able to take another step. I'm going to lie. If they stopped, they were shot. So she said, I'm going to lie down. I'll be shot and it will be over. At least I'll be able to lie down. I can't do it anymore. And her sister said, oh, no, you don't. You made me live this whole time. And now we're marching, it's because the end.
Right.
And her sister said, you are not giving up now. I do not let you. And she's like, but I can't. I cannot take another step. And her sister said, but don't you know you have to? And so she said, she listened to her sister. I think she probably felt bad. Like she made her sister live till then. She couldn't do it to her. She took another step. And she said she felt like something so sure on her right side and on her left side, lifting her up. She looked around and nobody was there. And it was lifting her up. And she said she glided the rest of the way. She felt like there was angels taking her until she got there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Bobby.
Yeah. The redhead herself. Thanks so much.
Before my final conversation with Bobby and her granddaughter, Nechama Birnbaum, I first want to tell you about Yidflix. Yes, you heard me talk about them, and I'm still talking about them because they're so great. If you want content for your kids, your tweens, the adults in your house, that's kosher, that's good, it's entertaining, but also gives you good value. You go to Yidflix. Yidflix.com has the premium Jewish content out there. Whether you want something fun, something on the Parsha, or some good Jewish value brought into your home, you go to Yidflix. And a bonus, you get some Living Lchaim videos. Only the best of the best Living Lchaim videos are on Yidflix. So if you haven't signed up yet, go to Yidflix.com. The link is in the show notes. Check them out. See what they're about. And I say this all the time. Just try it for 1 month because you're going to start doing the second month, the third month, the fourth month, and on. And now back to my conversation with the one, the only Redhead from Auschwitz. Okay, I'm here today with the very lovely Bobby. Could I call you Bobby?
Well, I thank you very much. But I am very proud to have young people to see that they're not quiet. They're going to have a lot of opportunity and a lot of courage to make this world a better world for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Where are you people? Are you sleeping? Throw out anti-Semitism, throw out racism, throw out hate, put love, peace in it. You'll see what a beautiful world we could do all together.
I love that. That is so beautiful, and I like that you're going straight out of the gate. Bobby, what was your upbringing like? What was it like growing up?
Well, I am not saying only the truth here. And I'm very proud of my family. And I always said, I don't know why, but I had to have the courage to say always, I am not going to die here. I'm going to go home. But I thought that the whole world knows what happened. Where was the whole world when 6 million people were murdered who did not even touch a fly?
So what was your childhood like?
My childhood, wonderful family, warm, togetherness, everything what made a better world, they were. They were love all people in the world. That's all I saw. And we had, I am a Jewish girl who was on Auschwitz. And that monstrosity, what I went through and what I saw, I did not believe it exists on that earth.
Did you see the war coming? Did you see the Holocaust coming, or that wasn't even in your imagination?
It was never in my imagination. I was imagination, beautiful families, beautiful children, work together, love together, pray together, do something for this world. Don't only sleep.
So during the war, your friend said, this is too hard, we're going to die. But you said, we're not going to die. But I know there's a story.
Now,
could you tell me that story?
The Germans put us like a tower full of stones, little stones, and they gave us something to work with on 125 degrees. These stones, you see, girl, these big stones, they have to be small ones, very small ones. And they were always around us, to watch us. I said, what are they watching? Who can put these big mountains of stone, of little stones? It's impossible. So the girls were from my town, most of them, and I looked at them, and they said, well, girls, we are not going to go home, but we're going to go in heaven. I was listening very carefully. I said, what? In heaven? No. We have to fight first. We are not going to heaven. I am not ready to go to heaven. I am ready to fight. I'm ready to see that we should have more in this world. Love instead of hate. Unity before of hate. Everything what makes this world a better world.
I love
Bobby,
that.
What did your friends tell you when you said you're going home?
So they looked at me and they said, well, you have really dreams, but listen, people in the world who didn't know even that there exists a Holocaust, what did you do? You went to sleep at night? When they killed innocent people, they put the gas on top, what killed them, that wasn't enough for them. Look at the cruelty. That wasn't a war, that was murder. Murder.
Bobby,
Look into it.
Bobby, what did your friends say when you said, I'm going home from here?
Well, yes, I said, well, I don't know what you're saying, girls, but I'm not ready yet to go to heaven. I have to do something to prove something, that this world can be a better world. I'm going to work hard. We're going to work hard. Who in the world doesn't know it's the Holocaust? 6 million people, innocent people, and more than 1 million children. Go see those little shows from the children. You're gonna believe the whole world was quiet, and I come here to this country, America. It's very dear to my heart, and I want to see a better country, and I want to see people who will work very hard to make a better world, because that's why we're here for, not just emptiness and say, well, I never heard about the Holocaust. What did you do? Did you sleep? I cannot sleep even now. And mine head and mine belief, we have to work hard. It's nobody's world, it's everybody's world.
Oh, love that.
Because we all were born here in this country, and many people never heard about the Holocaust. I was shocked to hear that.
It's wild. Bobby, I wanted to ask you, how did you stay clean in Auschwitz?
Well, I looked for everywhere to find water. I said, first, I have to be not clean only inside my heart. My body has to be clean. I'm going to do everything to stay clean because that's going to keep me safe. And I did go when everybody was sleeping, and that German policeman there, who they put there, went with a light always to catch the one who went around 2 o'clock at night to look for water. I found water and lie, and I washed my body with it. And no, I did not know that the world doesn't know what's happening.
Did they catch you when you were going to
They
watch?
never catch me. I was hiding here and there, and wherever that assessment put the light, he didn't see me.
Wow.
Wow. Did you get a tattoo in Auschwitz? Did you get a tattoo in Auschwitz?
Yes, I have a number. I don't give it out for everybody because I don't want, this is not the most important thing. But I fought even for that. I was so sure that I'm going to come home. And I didn't know that the world is sleeping and they don't see what they're doing. Where are you? Where were you all?
Bobby.
You tell me. I took the courage to talk about it because being quiet is not going to help anybody. Be truth. Bring out the truth. See what's happening. What's happening today? We should all come together and fight for the truth and make a better world for all of us.
Yeah.
That's what I cannot keep quiet no more. Somebody has to say the truth. Where are all the people to say the truth?
Bobby, can you tell us the story of when you got your tattoo?
Well, I tell you, I was so sure that I'm going to come home. I don't know from where the courage comes, but I say we only have one God, all of us.
Yeah. So what did you do when you were online to get the tattoo?
So I saw that people, they put people there, they gave you on the hand big numbers. I said, wow, I'm going to go home. I don't want to have these big numbers. I want to look good because I'm going to show it to the world, but it has to be nice too.
So what did you do?
So I am having this on my hand, but I don't want the whole world to know because they still have neo-Nazis.
But Bobby, tell me what you did. You were waiting online,
So I'm
and it was
waiting
very
in line.
sloppy.
And I said, this is not for me. And I went out. I didn't even think that I could be shot. I could be taken out. No, I'm going home, and the tattoo is going to be on my hand, but it's nice numbers.
You're a real classy
Not-
lady.
Not very big numbers that it should ridicule me
Yeah.
to show it to the world. Now I'm not showing it.
But did you
Because-
switch lines? Like, what did you do? How did you get the nice numbers?
So I went out from the other people who were staying all five, all people were
In a row?
lined up, and I just walked very bravely to another woman, other girl, who were there 5 years already,
Wow.
and I saw what work she's doing. I said, that's the girl who's going to put the numbers on my hand.
Wow.
And then everybody, she went out from line. They're going to kill her. No fair at all.
Wow. So Bobby, as I know, you had tumors in the factories. You got tumors on your leg in the factory.
I had, I can't say that on
Television?
television, but I only had a little torn dress. It was torn in the front and in the back and in the side. That children I had. And I was very sure in it. It didn't matter me. I just knew that as we have to work for the truth, we are going to go home.
Yeah.
That monstrosity and what the Germans did, we cannot ever forget. That was totally destroyed. You were no human being anymore. I don't know who you were, but look at the world today, it's not any better. And that hurts me very much. That comes from my heart. Please, people, unite and have courage and do work for a better world. And who is there first always when something happens in the world? It's the Jewish people who are there always. Look at these young men with the courage they have to take the responsibility to make a better world.
Bobby, can you tell me how you helped your friend in Auschwitz?
Yeah. Well, I looked around and I found somebody who was very, very young, only 17 years old.
How old were you?
She was a beautiful girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's not alive anymore. That was Bailu Tirnauer. And I saw that this young lady is never going to survive here. I took over. I said, I'm going to help you. I tore the dress, the putzlattnis they called it. What they called it, they took and shined their cars with it, the Germans. And they were smelled 10 miles away or 100 miles away. I said, no.
Your friend was wearing them?
My friend, no, was a friend. She was 17 years old. She was a beautiful girl. She's not alive anymore. I said, I'm going to help you. And she looked at me. She would never survive. I tore off those dirty clothes from her. I washed them. I don't know, I tried it by the sun and gave it back to me. It didn't smell no more.
Wow.
And she stayed with me and she came home, but unfortunately, she died very young.
Bobby,
Because-
what do you feel kept you going in the war in Auschwitz? What kept you going?
It kept me going mostly that this is monstrosity. Look what they're doing. Where are all the people
But what gave you
to
hope
help?
to live?
Yeah, meaning everyone it was so sad. So many people were getting killed and the world was
What-
quiet. Why didn't you give up?
What's going on here?
So why didn't you give up?
I never gave up.
Why not?
Why not?
I felt that everybody who is going to speak up and unite and say, I'm going to go home, is going to work very, very hard to happen. That's what happened. And I don't know how people look the way that. This is unbelievable. Like so many thousands of people never heard of the Holocaust. What is going on here? Why is it 6 million people, innocent people, who never even heard of the fly, be killed? Why? Why? You answer, all of you. Now, I think you're starting up again something was not okay, because our children have to see good behavior courage. Do something. Speak out. Don't keep it in yourself. That's not going to help. Only if you unite and you love each other and know for sure that you're going to contribute to this world to be a better world. Don't give up on it. Never, ever.
Thank you
Beautiful.
very much.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. This was really inspiring, and thank you for never giving up. And I see.
And I believe in that very, very much. But I know it's still, we have people who are not so good. It's a tragedy, a real tragedy. I want to be boss. I want to be boss. Why doesn't always somebody come say, we'll make the world a better world. We're going to love each other instead of hate. How about it? Why don't you try it? Why? Tell me. They need the neo-Nazis yet? And isn't Germany ashamed of that? Look what they did.
Yeah. Bobby, do you want to tell us a little bit about your grandfather?
My grandfather was an unusual person. He was the one who loved the world,
Yeah.
and the world loved him. All Gentile people loved my grandfather. He was for all people in the world. I know we have Gentile friends. They were like sisters to my mother. Look at that picture on the wall. I have my mother. She was healthy. She was beautiful. She was healthy. She was beautiful. She was giving. She was an unusual person. Where was the world to see all these people? Why could they sleep at night? Why could they not unite? Why didn't one get up and say, let's do something for this world. Let's unite. Let's love instead of hate. Let's do good things for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. We could do a beautiful empire and live in peace with all of us, because everybody only has one God.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me and have the audience hear your story.
Well, let me see what I said.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for watching and listening to that episode. And if you haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend The Redhead from Auschwitz. It's an excellent book. It really is. And it goes to show they sold 20,000 copies in a span of a year or two. I don't know exactly the dates, but like it blew up. They blew up on social media. Follow them on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you use social media. And this episode hit me hard. It's sitting down with Bobby. This episode almost didn't happen, and it freaks me out to think about that. But I'm so thankful to Hashem that we actually got to sit down. Thankful to her family for arranging this and helping this, and yeah, I mentioned in this episode, there's 2 points I want to say. First off is I remember we were living in Arzay. It was me and one of my best friends who Lchaim is married to, Benny Birnbaum, and she was telling this to us, my wife and I, and she's good friends with my wife. Like, okay, by the meal, she's gonna write a book about her grandmother, and it's gonna be nice and great idea. It's a beautiful idea, but I'm like, okay, great. And she's like, yeah, maybe I'll use social media to help me get out there. And that's kind of what I do for full time, social media and marketing. And I'm like, yeah, it's a nice idea. It's just very difficult to actually pull it off. But she pulled it off. And so many people are inspired. And Bobby became this kind of icon. So first off, the idea in this episode of like, if you think you have a good idea and you think it's going to bring good to the world, go ahead and do it. That's exactly what Mrs. Birnbaum did, and it's incredible to see. And the second thing is Bobby's resilience. It's truly incredible. I mean, until the day she even died, she didn't give up. She was in the hospital. She was out of the hospital, back in the hospital, multiple times. Even, we started having this conversation to have her on a podcast like a year and a half ago, and there was so many times where she wasn't well, and she's like, I'm not giving up, and she fought and fought and fought. And to have an episode recorded and then, just logistically, it didn't make sense to put it out when actually we recorded it. And, then I saw she passed away, and I was like, whoa, I feel this tremendous responsibility to really try my hardest to go out and speak with these incredible people while they're still here. And I feel lucky. I feel blessed that we were able to do this episode. And it's wild to see how one person fought to survive, and to see all of her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren living the life that Bobby fought for is truly incredible. So again, that idea of fight for what you believe in. If you're not yet subscribed to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or YouTube, check us out, subscribe. It means the world to us. And also, if you're new here, please rate us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify. It means the world to me. I don't even know what it really actually does. I really don't. But that's what all other podcasters say. So help us out. Give us 5 stars. And go buy Bobby's book. And until next time, you can be an inspiration. Lchaim. Living Lchaim.